Anna Schecter oversees CBS News' crime and public safety unit. She's joining us now on the phone. Anna, a lot of people, are wondering what this means for us here at home. What are you hearing from law enforcement today?
Well, law enforcement around the country, local, state, and federal, are on heightened alert given what is going on in the Middle East. And the NYPD tells me it's closely monitoring these events. They have a counterterrorism bureau that embeds intelligence detectives around the world in more than a dozen cities that they liaison. That communication is already underway. And then, of course, they're monitoring digital spaces like Telegram, where they already are looking for potential plots to develop. They're already doing this work, but now they have ramped that up. And they've also increased the agents doing that and increased police presence on the ground at sensitive sites. Think about diplomatic, cultural, religious sites, any Israeli cultural sites in the U.S. You're going to likely see an increased physical presence of police, and they do that as a deterrent. They want to show that line of defense. And so NYPD sources tell me that is already underway here in New York, and we can expect to see that likely in Los Angeles, where you have a very large Iranian-American population. Other big cities, they're doing the same. And these police departments talk to each other. So there's a lot of communication going on. People were up all night working on this.
Anna, Iran right now does not have an intercontinental ballistic missile that could reach the U.S. here on the mainland. But what are the threats that are posed by Iran in terms of cyber terror, other types of threats?
This is a great question. Cyber is a huge issue, and the FBI-led Joint Terrorism Task Force has broken up plots. They have also gone after and charged IRGC-linked people with various types of plots to disrupt U.S. operations, businesses, and the like. So that has historically happened. So they are on heightened alert to do that. I mean, think about the power grid. Think about cyber attacks on U.S. officials breaking into their emails, that sort of thing. So all of that is potential and can really inflict harm in the homeland. And so officials are just about as worried about that, because that's more likely than, like you said, that missile can't reach the U.S. And so the cyber threat is very real, and officials are very concerned about it.
All right, Anna Schecter, thank you so much. So there is reporting that the Iranian foreign minister has said that the Ayatollah is alive as far as he knows. And we are learning more about the lead up to this attack on Iran, which is being called Operation Epic Fury. According to two diplomats in the region, the White House did not brief regional allies on details of strikes in advance of the attack. Let's go now to CBS News reporter Haley Ott in London, who's been speaking with people in the region about their concerns. Haley, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, so I've been speaking to people across the Middle East who woke up this morning to explosions in their countries. We've heard, obviously, that U.S. bases in Kuwait, Bahrain, the UAE, Qatar have been targeted. Those attacks will affect people working on those bases, but also people just living in those areas. And what's been interesting is that a number of people have told me that this actually hasn't come as much of a surprise as you might expect. As they've been seeing reports of U.S. military assets traveling to the region, they've been preparing for a possible escalation, for a possible conflict between Iran and potentially some strikes on Israel back and forth. I spoke to one woman who said that she had been stocking up on water, on gasoline for her car, that she was nervous and uncomfortable, obviously, because this is violence and it's scary, but that it wasn't shocking to her. Another person told me that while the strikes that took place over the summer in Qatar were really scary and unexpected, these felt, while very upsetting and distressing, not like as much of a surprise, and that he'd had time to prep, both emotionally and also in terms of just making sure he had enough at home in case things escalate.
And Haley, what are we hearing, from our allies in the region that host American bases? I mean, on the one hand, there are allies that are allowing us in, but they also have taken on this risk that now they are being attacked by Iran in this way in terms of the U.S. bases that are there. Are we hearing condemnation from our allies? What are we hearing?
Yes, we're hearing condemnation of these attacks sort of across the board. Interestingly, there was a diplomatic process going on while this was happening. So in addition to conflict and potential de-escalation and sort of getting worse and more destabilization in the region, this has also undermined a diplomatic process. And that's really been what I've heard from European diplomats, and also what we've seen some statements from European leaders this morning. They condemn the violence. Many have spoken out against Iran, the Iranian regime, the suppression of its population, its nuclear program. But a number of European leaders have urged a return to diplomacy, de-escalation, and that these strikes don't continue to get potentially worse and worse. This is a dangerous moment. One interesting thing is that here in Europe, at least, you might have expected, because of tensions between European countries and the United States, a more sort of robust condemnation of this move this morning. But instead, I've been told that the response we're seeing is muted, because here in Europe, they view this through the prism of Ukraine. And Iran has been an ally to Russia in its war on Ukraine. So that is understood to have played a part in sort of the strength of the response from some European countries this morning.
And Haley, we had a map up just a second ago of the range of the missiles that Iran has, and of course Europe is a possibility. I mean, are you hearing concerns for Americans, of Europeans, of what might happen if this does become a large-scale conflict?
I think the fear, and certainly what I've been hearing, is that this is, from Iran's perspective, from the regime's perspective, a fight for its survival. And when a regime is fighting for its survival, it can really take extreme action. So in speaking to officials here and speaking to experts, they say that this, while in the short term it may seem like the United States has come in and potentially and Israel potentially taking care of some of Iran's ballistic missiles that it was building up, potentially made a dent in some part of its nuclear capabilities. In the long term, this, they believe, will make the world less safe, because the Iranian regime may resort to more drastic action to defend itself and its survival.
All right, Haley Ott, thank you so much from our London newsroom.